Welcome back to the Rental Journal, and wow, what a setup we have this afternoon, and rightly so, because today's guest is a special one, recorded here live at the 2026 ARA Show in Orlando inside the ARA's Content Creator Hub, which has just been newly established this year. So thank you to Lauren and the team for that. And we have a bit of a live audience as well with a volleyball competition going on. But before we begin, I want to sincerely thank the American Rental Association for the collaboration and opening this Content Creator Hub and continuing to invest in these conversations that, actually move our industry forward. So our aim here on the Rental Journal is to capture real stories, real leadership, and lead with real lessons. And today's guest embodies all of those. Quite the celebrity, featured on the cover of the January issue of the 2026 Rental Management magazine. And who needs Playboy when you have a mustache like that available? This afternoon, I'm joined by Brian Richardson, President-elect of the American Rental Association, owner of L&A Tent and Event Rentals, and someone who has spent more than 4 decades in an industry where he famously says there is no tomorrow. Brian is an operator, he's a builder, he's a people-first leader. And at the time when our industry is thinking deeply about safety, professionalism, and succession in events, and what the next generation will inherit, his timing could not be more prevalent. Brian, so thrilled to see you again. 4 years in a row. Last year you said, when am I going to get citizenships here in America? So I'm sure you guys are sick of me, but mate, thank you for your time and welcome on the
Oh,
Rental
Mike,
Journal.
we're so excited to have you here. We're so excited to be joining you for the podcast. I think I met you, 4 years ago at this very show. I met you upstairs coming out of one of the sessions, and I'm so glad that you could be here and take time to meet with me.
Well, it's all come full circle, and it's all changed very much since then. And we were probably a few drinks deep at that point as well, coming out
Possibly.
of the ARA suite that year with the current president at the time, who was Scott Irwin.
Great man, great man. One of my mentors. I've had some really great people that have kind of led the way for me to end up in this chair.
For sure. Brian, when people first, I guess, hear or read your resume, they see various years of dedication, support, and decades of experience. So what actually has driven you to keep showing up, stay passionate, pushing for collaborative success in rental, and being so involved in the event and adjacent equipment rental industry for more than, 4 decades?
Yeah. Well, truth be told, after about 25 years, you do wonder, like, is this getting tired? Are you getting tired? And then I'm fortunate I have such a young staff has joined our company, and they kind of reinvigorated me and brought new enthusiasm or enthusiasm back to me. And I'm so excited to work with young people now, and they're running the company and handling the day-to-day. And that's what makes me want to give back to the industry.
Amazing. Brian, you've said something over the years that's really stuck with me, that in the tent and event rental industry, there's no tomorrow.
It is so true. I have a lot of friends who are carpenters or landscapers, and if it's going to rain or you got inclement weather, the landscaper will say, I'll be back next Monday, Mrs. Smith, or I'll finish the roof for you in 2 weeks. There is no tomorrow. That wedding is happening this Saturday, no matter what. There are no excuses in this industry. There is no tomorrow.
So once that event date arrives, rain, hail, shine, the event happens. No today, regardless. So
That's it.
I think what has living inside that level of urgency taught you about responsibility, ownership, and working under pressure in this rental industry, not just to customers, but how you train your people in that way as well?
Right. And I think they see it with our customers. We have so many clients that we've done their weddings, and now we've done their children's weddings, and now we're moving on to do their grandchildren's weddings. And these clients know that they can always count on us, whether it's going to be a hurricane coming or a snowstorm coming. They know that they can rely on our company and rely on our staff. And I think that we've passed that down to even our new hires who will be starting this spring, that they know that number one is our client relations, that no matter what, the event is going to happen, and we want our client to have a great experience.
Do you think that pressure has shaped you to be a better leader and potentially weeded some people out of the industry over the years?
Well, I think so. There is that never say no attitude that we have in our business. No matter what, we're going to make the job happen. We're going to strive for perfection. Do we hit it every time? No, but we strive for perfection, and we pass that on to all our staff. From the first phone call or the first reach out on the internet, we want the client experience to be top-notch.
And that's so powerful, that multi-generational customer experience. People looking back at photos of their grandparents' wedding, planning theirs and engaging your rental business.
Well, I think that's just showing how old I am now. If the case is that I've been doing this for 50 years, it's very exciting to see families grow and know that they're going to be reach out for their first communions or their birth of their first child. So we've got some long-term customers that have been with us from the beginning, and we wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be sitting in this chair if it wasn't for them.
Absolutely. Brian, prior to today's conversation, I selectively reached out to a few people in the industry who know you very well.
Oh, no.
And might I add, some absolute legends of the US rental industry and equipment rental industry as well. And one of them, Dan Hooks from Party Reflections, describes you as a true operator and someone willing to put work alongside their team, rather than sit in the ivory tower. He also said that you're just as concerned about doing things the right way for your crew as you are about profitability. When did you realize that protecting your people, your team, investing in them, and also seeking quality equipment in your rental store wasn't separated from profitability, but it's actually the path to it?
Yeah, and those are very kind words by Dan. He's been a great friend and another mentor to me in the association. I think I was probably 20 years in before I realized that, hey, you can't do this alone. When I first started, it was, hey, if everybody quits on me, I know I can still get this job done. I can find somebody standing outside a gas station to help me. But as the company grew, and obviously you can't take on as much as you used to be able to do as you get a little older, I think you reflect and say, wait a minute, I'm gonna need some help here. And if you put the right people in the right chairs, things just seem to go smoother for you.
So what made you have that mindset shift from potentially being young and hard-headed to older and wiser? Or was it a certain situation, an environment, a certain job that you go, hey, I need some help here?
Yeah, I don't know if it was any one moment in time that happened. I think it kind of grew gradually where you just realized all of a sudden, if you give up some things and let other people take responsibility, then all of a sudden you're booking more jobs and revenue is increasing and your ROI is increasing. You're like, how did that happen? What is the things that I changed? Well, one of the things I changed was I gave up some of the things that I was doing. So I think that is it. It was a gradual, slow process, but it's really because of the staff that we have. That's the only way it's possible.
And that's hard for operators because, like we're saying, this level of urgency and ownership and dedication that you have to get that job done, to pass that on to someone else, it is hard. And I'm sure it would have taken a long time, and it was an evolution.
Yeah, and I spoke earlier this morning to a group regarding labor, and one of the interesting things, there were companies here at the show that are maybe 2 or 3 employees total. It's a husband and wife, and maybe they find a friend to help them on weekends. And they're like, how do we ever get labor? And I understand how difficult that is. And to tell them the truth, that sometimes you're going to pay your staff more than you're paying yourself. But it's the only way. It's a mountain that you have to climb, and it's slow and slow and slow. But when you finally get to the top, it's like a roller coaster that all of a sudden the momentum takes off and you're able to have a much more profitable business.
For sure. I guess with that in mind, where do you still see rental owners, I guess, estimating the costs or eliminating the costs when they're looking to develop their teams, or maybe getting cheaper product lines and potentially making the numbers look good on paper in the short term, but not leading to long-term success that you've had?
Right. I guess the question is, what is the goals of your business? Is it something that you want to pass down to family members, or is this something you're just trying to build up the numbers so you can flip it and sell it to somebody else? If you're in it as a short-term business, you're probably not going to be very successful. If you're in it for the long haul, regardless, and you may sell after 5 years because the opportunity presents itself. But if you start your business in the looking to sell in 5 years, it's probably not going to be successful.
So you need that strong foundation.
Exactly.
For sure. Brian, building, growing, succession, and innovation. All areas that I love discussing, having grown up in a family rental business and setting that foundation and looking to have that legacy as well. You've been very open about, I think, something that most founders struggle with to admit is that micromanagement can hold you back and hold the company back for years. Now you're navigating succession with your son, Kyle, stepping into leadership. What was harder for you personally, building the business originally from the foundations, or learning how to step back and trust someone to improve on what you built?
Yeah, well, not only Kyle, but we have Steve Campbell, who's been with me for probably 20 years now. And Steve came as a temp, and he's our general manager, and he and Kyle work hand in hand to grow the company. But still to this day, I'll meet with both of them, and it'll be we should pursue this new item. And man, sometimes I'm hesitant, and they're like, hey, we're young, let's do this thing now, let's push. So I think as you get older and as you get closer to the end, whether the end of the industry or the end of the company, you might be more hesitant to invest in new lines where the younger guys push you. And they don't have a problem ganging up on me saying, this is what we've got to do. This is where we're going to go. We're not just going to sit here, because I think they both tell me, if you're not moving, you're dying. So we're going to keep moving.
Well, it's something that Dad always says to me as well, that sometimes you need that little bit of a push, but it keeps it exciting.
And it's a tough discussion when you're going and talking to a founder and saying, hey, I know this is the way you've done it for 35, 40 years, but this is really where we've got to go. And sometimes, people my age can get kind of hard-headed, but I think I'm much better at it and much more open. And I think part of that is because of the people I've met at the ARA, the mentors that I have that have shown me, hey, the way you're doing it isn't necessarily the right way. There are other ways.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that union usually forms against you as well, and you get outnumbered very quick, like you said.
True.
But what mistakes do you see that the founders make when they're doing this succession planning? Obviously, this might be really insightful for us to discuss too, is how did you know that Kyle was ready, and how did you know that you were ready?
Yeah, and I don't know, and we still talk about it. We don't know that necessarily that's where it's going to go. We also invested in a restroom business. We have that, so we have other options. Kyle, as you know, is well respected in the industry. He's got a lot of opportunities. He's probably getting 6 interviews while we're here that I don't know about. Who knows? So when the time comes, when it's decided, yes, that's how it looks now, but it might be other staff members that take the mantle. Who knows? No one's in a rush. We're all pretty happy with what we're doing, and so we'll see. If it works out that way, great. I know he'll do a wonderful job. He's enthusiastic. He's young. I'm kind of jealous of that guy. I used to be that guy, but I also tell him, hey, take a look at me. Behold your future, kid. This is what you're going to look like in 40 years if you stick with it.
Well, I remember watching an interview of Michael Schumacher when he turned 40, and the interviewer said to him, "Oh, you're 40, and it's all downhill from here." And Michael said, "Well, mate, downhill's faster." So,
isn't it the truth?
Brian, how do you separate legacy and history from innovation and change without losing the business's core values and the sense of identity going into the future? A lot of businesses, they want to keep the core values, but like you said, if you're not moving, you're dying. So how do you have this balance of innovation, change, whilst also preserving that real fundamental values that has given you multi-generational customers?
So I think we're really pretty grounded at L&A. I think that's just our culture. We're more of a family atmosphere. It doesn't matter if you're family by blood or family by friendship. We're pretty grounded. We still struggle like any family does. We don't always agree on things. We do agree in our total alignment that innovation is something that's very important to our industry. The unique thing about being just a tent guy is what we are. We're not equipment, so we can't track hours on things. We can't track use on things. This tent, we can track where it is. We can't track the weather that's hit it. We can't track that. So innovation is still a challenge for us. AI is exciting for us. We're not sure how we're going to incorporate it. It might be in our sales department. It might be in dispatch for us. So we're still dealing with innovation and trying to evolve more and more every day.
Very good. Yeah, something I hadn't considered is not only the utilization on your product, but what has it encountered? You don't know.
Right. You never know. And L&A is kind of unique with all the rental companies, event rental companies here at ARA. We do not rent any tabletop stuff. We're a tent company is what we are. We do flooring, air conditioning, heating, like that, hard goods, but we're not doing any tabletop. We dabble a little bit in linens. We dabble a little bit in tables and chairs for our good clients, but we're strictly a tent company, and we're proud to be that.
Yeah, very good. Brian, another story from an equally famous event rental leader and past ARA president and a proud, I guess, home stater and Floridian. And another story I have from Mr. Jeff Crotto.
Oh boy.
And disclaimer, I have permission to use it. He said,
Permission from him, not necessarily permission from me.
That's right. He said years ago at an ARA Show event at the Ice Bar Orlando, someone from Jeff's team lost their balance, took down a high top table and umbrella. Without losing a beat, you yelled, "Down goes Fraser." Jeff said it perfectly captured your quick wit and perfect sense of humor that you can have in a moment. How important is it to you, Brian, to have humor in your, I guess, dedication to your team, leadership, your business, and especially in these high pressure and chaotic situations you have in the event rental business?
Well, and that's very kind of Jeff to say that. And yeah, I use humor a lot. And I sometimes I even pride myself on it. And some of it might be because just to deal with the nerves that I feel sometimes. I've ended up, fortunately in my career, to do a lot of public speaking in this industry. So humor's been important to me. It breaks the ice, it breaks the tension. And I'm still striving for that perfect witticism, I think might be the right word, of when you really nail a good one that people talk about like that. I'm still striving for that. So yeah, humor's a big part of what I do. And sometimes maybe I should be more serious in some events, but I think I'm going to deal with it. It's worked for me so far.
I don't think so. I think it makes you more human, right? It makes you relatable.
I hope so. I hope so.
Perfect. Brian, one of the more interesting points Dan raised was the idea that our industry still sits somewhere between entrepreneurial hustle and being a recognized professional trade, like plumbing, electrical, HVAC here in the US. From your perspective, what has to change? Is it culturally or operationally for event rental professionals to be seen and understood potentially as the same level as a trade?
Yeah, the challenge is if ownership is not going to get their staff up to speed and get them trained and take the safety precautions that are necessary, if they're not going to invest in educating their staff, then this isn't going to work. We've made a huge investment at ARA in the Safe Tenting Initiative, but if we can't get all our members to buy in, then I'm going to be very disappointed. As labor's become more and more challenging, we've had to innovate. The tents that we install, the structures, the marquees are more elaborate. They're more dangerous to install, but they're also safer once they're installed. So as we move into more structure and move out of pole tents, we're going to need trained staff. The days of rounding up people outside the Home Depot to install tents are over. So that is our challenge. That's what we're focused on at ARA, is to reach out to our members who rent tents and demand, yes, demand is the word. Take the pledge and demand that your crews are operating safely and proficiently.
So is there any behaviors that potentially the industry has to stop tolerating to do this?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago that everyone was using water barrels to anchor tents, and I'm not going to get into water, but everybody's talked about them 100 times. But now we've really worked at getting the proper anchoring systems, the proper ballasting systems. The amount of tent failures has really decreased in this country. Unfortunately, as there's more social media out there, that if there is a tent failure, that it's much more widespread and everybody knows about it. So our industry has been kind of flying under the radar for a number of years. In most municipalities, their inspections aren't required. People are installing large tents in backyards and sometimes doing it improperly. And so there are claims that have happened. We want to stop that. We operate an insurance division. We insure our members. Many of those members install tents. If they're doing it not safely or not up to code, obviously that's going to increase claims. That's going to increase our rates to our members that are involved in our insurance program.
Sure. So is that something that additional cost of this extra side of safety will then flow onto the customer potentially long term?
Oh, without a doubt. Just like if there's tariffs on aluminum, that obviously is passed on to our customers who end up renting tents because a tent frame is made out of aluminum. So yes, that's just the nature of the beast. Historically, I would say in this country, the price of tenting has really only gone up a modest amount in the past 30 years. 30 years ago, a smaller rental operation that did tool and party was really installing tents that are probably only 30% less than what we're charging today, which is insane. So we have not kept the increases in the tent industry where we should have over the years. So prices have increased because of COVID and the cost of our tents, but not necessarily kept up with the cost to purchase. So that's something operators are going to have to look at. If they're going to want to stay profitable, they're going to have to raise their rates.
Is there a reason why there's a discrepancy between how much equipment, I guess here in the US, rental rates have increased over 30 years, conversely to event not being the same percentage increases?
I just think that there's more and more people. If there's more and more product out there, obviously the price would come down. The problem is that we are so labor intensive in the tent industry that yes, you have to buy the tent, but then you've got to put that thing up and down. You have to transport it. So that's the real cost is. Yes, everyone rule of thumb was you'd want to get your return in 10 rentals, whether it was a table or whether it was a chandelier. Well, in a tent, the labor to put that thing up and down is really going into your margins. So that is the challenge. People have to raise their rates in our industry.
So you really see yourself as a labor company, not a rental company?
Yeah, we're a transportation company. That's what we do. We're moving product from here to there and getting it back as profitable as you can.
Saying, Brian, how do you differentiate yourself in the event rental market?
Well, that is a challenge. And there's always going to be those companies that are able to, for whatever reason, are able to charge lower rates. Typically, it's because they're not paying their staff as much. They don't have the same overhead. It always interests me when I see on social media, I'm just starting a party rental company. How do I set my prices? And everyone will say, well, call your competitors and ask them what they charge and then be less money, which is just insanity. It's the fastest race to the bottom because you have no idea what that person's overhead is. They may be getting a free warehouse.
Yeah.
They may not have any employees. Their staff might be working for free. So to base your pricing on what someone else's charges is just crazy to me. You need to know what it costs you to do that certain job and base your pricing there.
And that's how we approach our rental business as well. Something that we're proud of is we do reverse benchmarking. Instead of going out and going, what is the competitor doing well? We want to look at, okay, what can we do that they're not?
Right.
Because that's the only way. Like you said, if you're competing with a commoditized product on lower margins, especially as a small independent, you can't battle the big guys that way.
You can't. They can just wait you out and then take you down. Where you can set yourself apart in our industry is you can have the newest and most modern tents around. So the garden tents, the tents that have the beams wrapped in wood grain or in black with clear fabric. That's where you set yourself apart, carrying products that other companies don't have in your market.
Sure. Brian, you also said the timing of your presidency is perfect, especially as the safe tenting initiatives gain real traction. You've served as president at the MATRA, ATA, and now ARA. That's a lot of lot of abbreviations.
They joke around at the office about that. I'm a 3-time loser, is what they said to me.
Why was now a non-negotiable moment for safe tenting from your perspective, and what does success actually look like beyond this compliance that you guys are seeking?
Yeah, so MATRA, MATRA, is the Manufacturers and Tent Rental Association, and that was an organization I was lucky enough to serve as president a long time ago. And then ATA is Advanced Textile Association, another trade organization. And so the three organizations have now gotten together because if you look at their membership lists, the members of both those associations are probably members of the ARA too. So we've hired Brian Bolt to head up our Safe Tenting Initiative. Brian's got 25 years in the industry. He worked for Top Tech. So now the three organizations are going to work together. We are going to promote safe tenting together. We're going to put on host events together. And I'm excited about what the future of this new partnership is going to bring.
It's a great collaborative approach.
It is.
So Brian, how have you actually got buy-in across these organizations that historically have operated independently? Like you said, this collaborative approach. And from your perspective, what happens to our industry if we don't lead with this approach of collaborating to have safety across all of these associations?
Yeah, and we never want any of the associations to think that, one is larger than the other, and we don't want anyone to feel slighted. The members of all three organizations are members of each other. They are us and we are them. So to alienate them is to alienate ourselves.
Exactly.
So that's why we need to collaborate on this. The volunteers that one organization have are volunteers that we have too. So they are family, they are friends, they're part of us, we're part of them.
Yeah, why have a them versus us approach?
Exactly. The industry is not that big. It's a multi-billion-dollar business, but it is not that big. Everyone knows everyone here.
For sure. Sure. It's like the Brady Bunch, right?
It is.
Brian, whilst we all see change, development, and this, like we said, constant push for innovation, When your presidency comes to an end, and like you said, you moved on and passed to the side, and someone else steps into your role, what do you hope that they protect, not change?
Well, it really is, to me, this is really about the relationships, and it is our relationships, our connections to everyone. If you just meet one new person at the rental show, they become friends for life. It's incredible to me that I have met people here 13 years ago, and still we call each other on a Friday night to see how you're doing. That's crazy. How is it that two people just inadvertently bump into each other or serve on a volunteer committee together, and then they become lifelong friends? That our strength is in our connections. And that's why I think it's so important to come to a show. Yes, you can purchase stuff online. You can go on Amazon. You can order from our vendors that are here at home. But it's the connections that you make here at the show. That's why you need to be here.
And it's so true. I was just talking to Robert Pedersen about 5 minutes ago.
My predecessor.
He was speaking on the Kennards family, who has one of the largest equipment rental businesses in Australia, over 200 locations across Australia and New Zealand. Their first show that they come to, however many years ago, they met the Pedersen family. Now, obviously, he's going over, having finished his presidency, and it's gone full circle. That how the Kennards family started their rental business, having met the Pedersens, now growing to 200 location rental business, for them to come back and they'll be going to the museum and to the show, and that relationship spans 60 years.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that happened. And it's funny, you mentioned a few people, you mentioned Dan Hooks. I met Dan Hooks prior to him ever thinking he'd be president of ARA. We volunteered on the same committee for ARA, and that's where I met him the first time. I met Jeff at the ARA show right here in Orlando, I think 7 years ago. And those people become lifelong friends. And so out of this, if I can leave the organization saying, hey, I made 100 new friends that are in my life, boy, I'm blessed.
For sure. Brian, to our rental owners, leaders, aspiring young professionals listening in to this conversation, if you could only make one action in the next 12 months to future-proof their rental business, their role within their organization, how they can solidify themselves within our industry, what would you tell them, tell me, to our collaborative, I guess, rental community to focus on?
My focus has kind of changed as I've gotten older. Now I would say, focus on the money, where it's spent, where it comes from. Invest in a good CFO or a good accounting team. I wish I had done that sooner. Man, when I was a much smaller operation, that team might have been me. And as you're busy out doing tents and driving and installing and fielding phone calls, sometimes you let the money slide. And then if I had to do it over again, boy, the first person I would have hired would have been a CFO.
Okay, so more working not in the business, but on the business.
Well, yeah. Working on the money in the business, I guess, is where it is. And also, I would really align yourself with a quality manufacturer. Once you have those relationships with a manufacturer, things happen in our industry. A storm might blow through on a Friday night and take down a wedding. If you've got a manufacturer that you have a relationship with, you can pick up the phone at 10, 11 o'clock on a Friday night, call them, and they will do everything in their power to get you up and running the next day. And that's because you have a relationship with that person. If you're just someone who calls in and buys stuff over the telephone, man, that phone's gonna be ringing on a Friday night. But if there's somebody that you have a relationship with and their cell phone rings, they're gonna pick it up and they're gonna help you out.
Brian, this has been a very powerful conversation. Thank you for your leadership, your honesty and sense of humor, for continuing to advocate for our industry during this change and very big change as well with what you guys are pushing. And to the American Rental Association, thank you for the opportunity to record here at the ARA Content Hub and for your continued investment in education, safety and the rental community. Brian Richardson, President-elect, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much.
Thanks, mate.